actively working to corral and trap the boat. And given their proximity to the murdered swimmers in the first video, perhaps they were all involved in that slaying too. Almost as if these ships were part of a gang, with the Pingshin 101 as its...
Okay, it's not pre-watch, chat. I did not pre-watch this. This is all guessing. Okay, I would clarify that. I said gang earlier, okay? I did say, but I'm just a good guesser, all right? Shut up.
Leader. With all these discoveries, finding this ship was going to be the key to the investigation, as having documented its aggressive history, finding it became everything for investigators. But whereas the search for information had thus far been difficult, the search for the Pingshin 101 was impossible. In July of 2014, a cargo ship sailing in the Indian Ocean named the Sam Tiger received an SOS call from a nearby ship. When they arrived on the scene, they saw the Pingshin 101 on fire and sinking alone in the ocean. Upon the crew's rescue, it was stated that there had been some sort of explosion on board, and that the engine room had been completely flooded, causing the ship to go down, leaving it burned to a crisp at the bottom of the ocean, just months before the video would be exposed to the public. The ship and all of the evidence that it might hold were gone, and gone under suspicious circumstances as well.
I was about to ask how many people died. Oh shit.
Allegedly, when asked about what happened that night, fishermen on board gave varying testimonies that didn't seem to line up, with no one being able to offer any sort of cause for the explosion, and some stating that they didn't even hear an explosion as well, with the story of the flooded engine room seeming off too, considering that it had a watertight door that could have easily been closed, thus stopping the sinking. Today, multiple ship experts who have reviewed the case believe that the ship was sunk intentionally, but whether this was for insurance purposes or to conceal some sort of evidence is unknown, but the timing of it all might hint at the latter.
Yeah, because like the video of them, like back here, the video of them like swimming around it and like knocking it and trying to damage it, like it looked like no one was on the ship. But like everyone get off the ships and get on the other ships and then all proceed to do that because it didn't look like anyone was on there.
As crushing as this was for the investigation, there still was hope, as even though the ship was no longer around, the crew certainly was. Their identities were found after a few had posted images of themselves onto Facebook aboard the Pingshin 101, and after reaching out to many of these crew members, the investigator Karsten Van Hosselen found a few who were actually willing to speak with him, and so, individually, they would be asked about the murders at sea, and one by one, they began to recount their experiences. Only, as they began to talk, there was something strange about their story, something that didn't match the video at all. It was the time of day, with each of the men noting that the killings had taken place at nighttime, and that it was completely dark out when the shootings occurred. This made no sense to the investigator until he realized something. The story that they were sharing was not the one portrayed in this video.
It's a different one. Because it happens very often! Like I said, dude, international waters, this shit happens all the time.
And instead, it was an entirely different killing, and one that was far, far more gruesome.
Oh, goody. Great.
It happened that very same year, in 2012, not even a week before the events seen in the video. With this incident, no cameras were rolling. Instead, the story only lives through the accounts of the deckhands who watched it all transpire. It was the dead of night, as the Pingshin 101 floated across the waters of the Indian Ocean, accompanied by 3 other ships in its group. As the sailors finally celebrated for a precious few hours of sleep, the quiet of the night was shattered by the captain yelling across the intercom. There was a ship approaching on the horizon, and according to the captain, that ship was carrying pirates. The men knew what this meant as they scrambled to get...
Dude, is anyone else like really disappointed that like when you find out that pirates are real, they aren't the ones with the peg legs and the hook hands and arr? Why can't we bring that shit back? Like, for real, wouldn't that be so cool? Like, sure, you would die, and, like, your ship would get taken. But, like, if that happened, and, like, a Johnny Depp-looking-ass character came out and said, I'm going to steal your ship, arr! You know, that'd be great. Look, where's the rum? Like, dude, that'd be awesome. I'm like, hey, yeah, take my ship, dude, that's awesome. That'd be great. Where's the rum? So good, dude.
Get dressed and headed to the deck, where the group of 4
So they're not like Captain Hook? Have at thee! Dude, come on. That'd be great.
Already begun their offensive measures.
Hey, what happened to walking
Yet,
plane?
as they watched on, they saw that the ship was silent. It wasn't provoking in any way, and rather was minding its own business, appearing to be on none other than a standard fishing expedition. On its dimly lit deck, a group of men could be seen standing watch. None of them were armed. Then, noticing that they were in danger, the ship attempted to turn and flee, but it was too late. They had already been labeled a threat by merely being in this fleet's eye line. Quickly, the Pingshin 101 caught up with the vessel and struck its side, causing the boat to split in half and throwing its occupants into the dark waters. The light on board flickered, then shut off, covering the wreckage in a blanket of black, leaving nothing but the sound of...
Isn't that kind of goofy that, like, they couldn't outmaneuver a gigantic ship? Like, they're like, I know they're like a little fishing vessel, but it's a small ship. Like, if we're talking about Sea of Thieves rules right now, they would easily be able to outmaneuver the big ship, right? Easily. Like, what the fuck? Bigger ships mean bigger engines mean faster. No, that's not what it means at all. Also, big ships, very hard turn. Little ships, very easy to turn. It doesn't matter if they're faster, chat. Just turn. You know? Just turn. Yeah, maybe this had a shitty engine or something. They've clearly... Yeah, exactly. They've never played Sea of Thieves, and it's obvious.
With splashing, yelling, and the faint putter of their engines. That is,
how do you know?
Until the water turns bright. As a powerful spotlight on board the Pingshin beams into the sea, illuminating one swimmer struggling in the water. The captain calls over his armed security guard and gives the order to open fire. The guard looks back nervously, explaining that he would need to contact his officers at home and get approval to shoot this man, given that the swimmer was not fighting back and had not acted aggressively in the first place. However, to the captain, this didn't matter, and he insisted that a guard open fire anyway. And so, with shaky hands, he raised his weapon and pointed it towards the helpless man, only to pause when he heard a faint cry. It was the supposed pirate in his sights, speaking a language that the Arab security guard knew, and just like the incident that started it all, the swimmer yells, "No, Somali." In that moment, the realization set in that they had just attacked an innocent fishing vessel, causing the guard to immediately lower his weapon, only for it to be ripped from his hands by the captain. His mind was already made up, and so he took aim and fired the gun.
What kind of logic is that? Like, the dude's about to shoot him, and he says, "No, Somali." He's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. I already decided. Okay, we're gonna shoot him." Sir, he literally just said he's innocent and that's Somali. I don't care, I want to kill someone today. I made my mind up already. Fucking psychopath, man, what the hell?
And himself, opening up the door to carnage. That night, the Ping Shin 101 and its surrounding boats would use their spotlights to scan the water for the rest of the ship's occupants, and every time they found one, they would be shot on sight. Scan, shoot, scan, shoot.
only a game.
Over
Why do you get
and
to
over
be mad?
again. This went on all night. And by the morning, the crew would witness the drawn-out execution of approximately 22 men.
God, 20, what the fuck? Bro, I thought it was like a 5-man little ship. 22? Yeah, I'm never going out to the ocean, bro. Fuck that.
The stories from these crew members added a whole new layer to this case. These ships were targeting innocent fishing boats and slaughtering people at sea for essentially no reason at all. And somehow, all of this information had never once reached the public. It only came to light as a result of a single
probably is
YouTube
still
video.
happening.
And the discoveries didn't stop there. As investigators were combing through the net for details on the Ping Shin, they found another video. A video depicting the very same slaughter as that original incident. Only this recording was taken from one of the nearby ships.
This guy a better camera guy?
The clip shows exactly what was missing from that initial footage. The build-up to the men ending up in the water, as we can see the dhow still intact and being chased down by the fleet. No weapons are ever used by the victims, even as their ship begins to break down, which in turn forces them to jump into the water, where the executions begin. But that's not the only thing this footage shows, as this angle gives us a better idea of the scope of these murders. It wasn't just 4 men that went into the water. No, in the footage you can see many, many more, their heads bobbing up and down as they await the end of their lives. And though it's hard to tell for sure, it appears that the number of victims was at least triple what we initially believed, with 12 people ending up in the water. A number corroborated by the crew themselves during questioning, who stated that all the shootings were done by either their captain, the armed guards, or even the other ships. In only a week's time, this fleet had killed upwards of 35 innocent people with their merciless attacks, and given the ship's history of violence and its seemingly crazed captain, there's no telling how many others they had taken too. With so many players involved in this situation, it's hard to pin the blame on any one person for these killings. Everybody aboard all had a hand in it, but it makes the most sense to start at the top, with the leader of the fleet and the captain of the Ping Shin 101, and given the accounts of the crew members, his identity would finally be revealed.
Oh?
His name is Captain Wang Feng Yu, or as he was more commonly called on the high seas, Captain Hoodlum.
Oh, that's a good name.
According to his crew, this captain was an angry man, crazy even, who made his points by hitting and beating, choosing violence above anything else, which was perhaps done
I think that's a good person to keep as a captain. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a solid person to keep as a captain.
to make up for his inexperience as a captain, given that he was only 35 years old, which was considered very young for that role. The revelation of his identity led to him being tracked down and questioned for—
Did bro dye a part of his mustache, or did he just forget to shave? What is that? Or did he just draw on it with marker? Is he one of those guys that can't grow a mustache, so he like drew it on his face? Like what is this?
crimes, to which he gave a reason for each and every attack, proclaiming that these ships were pirates and that they were threatening him, even stating that one of the men had tried to board their ship on the day of that infamous slaughter. But upon further
Probably so they wouldn't die in the ocean.
questioning, his defense fell apart. His actions were—
Why was there no coup? Right? Why was there no mutiny? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if everyone's like, hey guys, I'm starting to feel like this captain's a little bit psychotic because he wants to kill everyone. So maybe let's like throw him overboard, right? Do a little bit of a mutiny? Yeah? I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to piss this guy off either. Bro, if you had a gun and he didn't and everyone else agreed with you, the captain couldn't do shit. What can he do? Captain Scary? Oh no, he gets angry sometimes. Who cares? If your entire crew with guns is like, hey guys, I don't like him. Let's just take him out of here. But then Captain go, I'm angry, and then punch the boat and everyone's, whoa, I'm so sorry. What do you think, it's One Piece? You think it's fucking One Piece? You think the captain has superpowers or some shit, right? Shut up.
were impossible to defend, and whether he even knew it or not, he was responsible for the deaths of countless innocent men,
Bro thinks he's
including
white.
many by his own hand. As a result, Wang Fengyu was put on trial for his crimes committed in international waters, which is considered extremely rare for cases like this, with the Taiwanese government charging him for the 4 murders shown in the video, as these were the only ones that they could verify, due to the other story having literally no record of having even happened. He was sentenced to 26 years in prison, which—
That's it? Yeah, I really do be an international. Isn't that scary though, chat? Like, imagine all the shit that isn't recorded. Imagine all the shit that isn't talked about. Bro murders probably like 30 plus people. It's like, literally less than a year per person. I mean, I know they only documented 4, but like, hell, dude.
After an appeal would be reduced to just 13.
What?
All the other ships and
13! Wow.
men involved, no others would be charged along with him, making this the only form of justice to come from the deaths of all these men,
Wow.
supposedly mistaken for pirates.
That's bonkers.
But as the case now winds down to a close, and we near the end of this rabbit hole, we're still left to wonder about those victims. If not pirates, then who were they? Well, this was actually something explored on the Lawless Ocean show, with the investigation taking them all the way to a little-known port in Iran called Kanarak. There, Van Hosen managed to track down records of 2 ships that had been lost to sea in 2012, that had just so happened to match the description of the ones that the Pink Shin and their group had attacked. But despite their disappearances, they were never mentioned to law enforcement, and they were never mentioned across any sort of media outlet, even the local ones.
No!
Which actually makes sense, as when you start to dig into the background of these boats, it becomes clear that they weren't just fishing, and rather, they were more than likely carrying drugs. As it turns out, it was commonplace for vessels like this in that area to carry with them supplies of heroin that they would then
Did I
transport across the
actually
ocean.
get it?
And what makes this so
Did I
crazy is that when
actually
you
get
watch
it?
the first
Hold up,
video
did I
back,
actually
you can
get
see
it?
little packages floating in the water that appear almost exactly like large bags of heroin.
I
You guys
just
think that the people were celebrating because they got free drugs? That makes more sense. That makes more sense why they killed him. Free drugs.
As a result, these ships were likely trying to be extra covert and not draw any sort of attention, as getting in an altercation could easily end up with their dark secret being exposed, meaning that there was likely no way that they were threatening the Pink Shin or any of the vessels seen in this group. It just wouldn't make any sense. However, within this context, it's hard to describe these people as being completely innocent. But did this really warrant such a brutal execution? And it's
Yeah, they
important to note
probably
too that the
do.
murderous fleet
I
That's the thing, they
got it!
100%. That makes more sense now. Because people would kill for drugs easily, dude. Like, people kill for drugs all the time. How are we doing tonight? Great. Thanks for doing much, Star Next.
almost certainly didn't expect them to be drug carriers. And given that the Pink Shin and its fleet had no ties to the drug world, it's apparent that these drugs had nothing to do with the killings. It was just a strange coincidence, leaving us still without a true motive. Following this lead, Van Hosen visited...
Doesn't make the killing any more just? No. Dude, that's like the equivalent of, like, killing someone
Only one
wrongfully,
can be
right?
someone
Let's say you
while
murdered someone
base
wrongfully. Later down the line, you find out, oh, he was a pedophile, and he did drugs,
I
and
got
he did other
it!
crimes and stuff like that. Does that mean that brutally murdering someone is just fine now? Because that said person turned
my
out to
God.
be a bad person, even though you didn't know that he was a bad person at the time?